Hello, and welcome to another episode of Catalyst Talks, making sure everything's plugged in. My name is Joseph Kopser, and the purpose of these talks is to understand the technology, the catalysts, the changes, all the things that are happening in this world today because of COVID specifically. But more importantly, leadership and strategy in a changing world has always been a challenge. Today, I have Dan Morgan, a friend of mine, a business colleague, an expert in the national security arena, and what I consider to be a 500-pound brain. His biography is down below in the description, so I won't go too much into it other than to say he's been there, done that, and he now works with FLIR. And we're going to talk about a lot of things, but we're talking about return to work and the environment we're on and what the future of work looks like and how to frame it. Dan, thanks for being on here. First, how you doing? And then tell us as quickly as you can how you got to now.
Joseph, first, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to people. I think this is an important topic. Our country's going through a lot of crisis response, which requires a lot of leadership, and which makes things very difficult is the fact that we're a republic, a democracy with 50 states, local state governments, and so it does make it very challenging. So I think this is a very relevant topic. And how I got to FLIR is an interesting story. I had a very happy career in the U.S. Army, from being enlisted all the way through Georgetown ROTC, and then being a Ranger infantry guy with all the bells and badges and whistles. But most importantly, it was always about people and solving problems and bringing solutions together. And so I commanded at every level. I had a lot of deployments. I had a chance to work from the tactical to the strategic national policy level in counter narcotics, ranging from Colombia and everything else in South America to China to Europe, the whole nine yards.
Yeah.
Which was an exceptional experience for me. And then I served at the Council on Foreign Relations and decided to retire, started my own business doing corporate strategic partnerships focused on defense. And then you and I met during that period. And now I'm here at FLIR Systems Incorporated, a global company and an expert in sensors. And so that's what I'm doing now, working on their business unit that's tied to the defense technology segment. So
let's do this. Let's do this, what I love to call the shameless promotion of an idea, which is the technology behind what FLIR could provide as far as a tool to allow us to return to work. We'll do that for about 2 minutes, and then we'll spend the last 5 minutes talking the bigger picture of how we frame the environment of our return to work. So what are we looking at here on the screen, and how can it be a part of our return to work in the era of COVID?
So the bottom line, FLIR is the tagline that FLIR uses is the world's sixth sense. And FLIR is the global leader across government, defense, industrial, commercial, private business, you name it.
And home use. That's what powers our security cameras outside.
Yeah, exactly. So it provides surveillance, but we do a lot of different types of detection, whether infrared, thermal, uncooled sensors and so forth. They are on Coast Guard boats. They are in warehouses and towns.
Yeah. So as we're thinking about the return to work, are you part of the conversation about what the technology can be used for, the issues of privacy or employee rights or employer rights? What are you hearing?
Yeah, so here's what we're hearing. It's the biggest challenge that we're facing is, as we see in the news, is the argument about reopening the economy and getting people back to work. And so FLIR has the capability and technology to be able to provide skin temperature at a very close degree, and it can be calibrated based off of your ambient environment, whether you're in the Middle East in August or whether you're in Alaska during the winter. You can calibrate it to the variance that you want, and it is part of a comprehensive approach, because it's not a medical diagnosis tool, but it's part of a comprehensive approach, which I think is absolutely critical to create confidence in the workplace, a safe, healthy, secure place in the workplace, because what you're seeing is a lot of privacy issues with regards to employers having to worry about, well, what happens if I bring people back to work and they get coronavirus and they get sick and it spreads? Am I held liable? Am I not held liable? So this technology is spreading itself across a large amount of companies, as well as the Department of Defense we're in discussions with now. So it's pretty exceptional, and it's really the first line of detection to be able to see if you have a above the variance with regards to your skin temperature. So then you could actually create follow-on guidance within your company or your agency or your organization to determine whether or not you need to go to further health screening.
Yeah, for those people that are concerned about privacy issues or the worry of a surveillance state, how do you react to that? What are your thoughts there? How should they frame it?
Yeah, so we have rapidly responded, and that's what is absolutely exciting about not just FLIR, but just about crisis management and in response. So we have adapted, and what you see on the screen right there, you see a picture of a person. So there's a little bit of concern with privacy there. So we rapidly moved into developing new software and connecting the camera to a sensor. A camera to a cable connector into a smart display, and created software that built an avatar. So now you're not actually seeing you as an individual, protecting the privacy and so forth.
Yep.
And that
everyone listening is giggling just a little bit because they know what you're talking about.
Right.
But keep going.
So yeah, in that aspect, we have done that. Now inside of the government and defense side, there's a little bit more, the policies and the regulations based off of who you are and what you're doing. They control that type of privacy with regards to health, HIPAA, and so forth. But it is a concern, and we address it every day with regards to software development or tweaks inside of the cameras themselves, or the integrated solution sets that we did. And probably, candidly, we did in about 2 weeks. Created a whole new solution set, which is really, really exciting.
Well, it's that kind of innovation that I love focusing on during this time of rapid change. So let me ask you very specifically, with the 2-3 minutes we have left, let's talk about the exit strategy. Prior to this in the green room, you and I pointed out the fact that there won't be an exit strategy like people think about. Tell me more about how you're framing this from a security standpoint and how you're seeing it there.
I think, we constantly talk about exit strategies, and it kind of came from a lot of military terminology with regards to setting a end date, which you've heard President Obama say, we're getting out of Afghanistan by a certain date, or you have conditions that are set. And unfortunately, those demands for a predictable future can really end up leading to a lot more frustration. I mean, prudence would tell us that we would need to shut down for months in order to get where we are. But I don't think we can expect a quick solution. I don't think we can expect clarity. And I don't expect that we're going to have a logical sequence. And so that's going to require leadership at every level to think strategically, communicate persuasively, and act decisively, even if that means we're having to go backwards.
Now, I know it's unfair to ask you to do this in a minute, but imagine you're in one of these rooms. You are that leader. Give us 45 seconds of what the opening would sound like in that speech, in that communication.
I would tell you that we have to track the data, and we have to communicate the data, and we're going to have to also act decisively that when we're going to have to go backwards and go into longer, quote unquote, shelter in place lockdowns, or go back and close businesses again. It's going to have to be that flexible for us to be able to get to where we need to be. Because I think what you really are seeing is the first third of this year is being able to react with emergency measures. The second third of the year that we're in right now is about reopening. How do we actually do this in a phased way, in a safe way, as best as possible? And then the third part of this year is going to be the rebound or the resurgence, particularly if we go too fast or we overlap with the flu season. And so I think you have to be able to recognize that this is not going to be clear, it's not going to be quick, and it's not going to be logical necessarily.
And it's in that ambiguity that leadership matters. In fact, my colleague, Denny O'Neill, had such a brilliant way to phrase it that I'm going to blog about this idea that we should be planning for September 12th, not just because September 12th is the fall when business traditionally gets back to work after the summer, but because people think this is going to be maybe like after 9/11, and it would be like September 12th, like, oh, okay, that was over. Now let's get back to work. It's not going to be anything like that. So we have literally under 60 seconds left. What parting advice do you have for people that are listening about where they can go or what they can do themselves to prepare for this new normal?
I think this is a responsibility of leadership at the individual level, the family level, the community, the state, and the national level. And it's a challenge without a doubt. But there is something to be said with regards to that we cannot make a claim that there is no risk of a resurgence. Because I think if we do that, we are going to be a hostage to fortune. And we don't want to do that. We have to be very careful. And that's why I go back again. The biggest things I've learned is to think strategically and to communicate persuasively and then to act decisively. And it could go in any direction that it needs to be. And that requires a leader to be present.
And the best part, Dan, is you did that so effectively, so succinctly that we got under 10 minutes. Thanks for being here. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. and tune in next time. Take care.
Thank you, Joseph. Take care.
Bye.